I told myself I would calm down before I made this video, but considering I only come to this channel when I'm viscerally upset, why make that change now? I try my best to protect my peace. I go on walks, I vent in my journal, I stay off my phone, or I lean into my comfort shows. But if there is a will, pissing me off will find a way. And its medium this time was through the most wretched, disturbing, draining seasons of Love Island I've ever watched. USA Season 7. Before I absolutely lose my mind, I'd like to take you back to a dark time in all of our lives. The pandemic. We were all trapped, yada yada, you know the story. I'm not sure how, but amongst binge watching Dylan is in trouble videos, little old me tripped into a Love Island rabbit hole. Love Island UK is the genesis of the Love Island franchise for anyone that doesn't know. Love Island USA is only one of the many international branches that the Love Island UK success has produced. I've watched every single season of Love Island UK, except for the winter seasons, but literally who watches the winter seasons? It's a reality TV show. Of course I'm gonna have mixed feelings about polarizing conversations or polarizing people in general. But when all is said and done and that winner gets crowned and they get their money, we all collectively move on and anticipate a new season for the following summer. Sometimes I reminisce about Whitney singing It's Giving Bad Bitch with Ty during the talent show, and I laugh to myself. Sometimes I think about the time where that one guy disrespected Maura right before they went into the hideaway, and I get mad all over again. And most times I'm thinking about that scene where Amy was like, I came here to tell you that I loved you.
I was coming back here to tell you that I loved you.
And I shiver, because that is what good television is. A little blow up during a challenge, a shocking recoupling, a surprise dumping, whatever it may be, Love Island has never caused me to exert any more energy than I should on trash TV. However, this season can't say the same, quite the opposite actually. If you'll have me, here's my Love Island think piece.
You know, you're the girl that... Mamacita. I think...
Love Island USA Season 7 debuted June 3rd, 2025. Me and many other people were very excited to watch this season because it was highly anticipated. If you're wondering why it was so anticipated, I'll give you 2 words. Season 6. Love Island Season 6 is debatably the best season to come out of this whole franchise. Some say that it's UK Season 5. That is up to the beholder. Personally, I believe that Season 6 is the best thing to come out of the show. Not only because it was so good, but because everything that came out of it was just as good. The cast was perfect. We got Serena and Cordell as our rightful winners. We had PPG representing healthy female friendships. We had Liv. Come on. Season 6 was packed with drama and hard watch moments, sure. But the season itself is genuinely entertaining because of how big the personalities were. Like Janae and putting on that telenovela-esque performance right after Castle Moore will go down in history. That is cinema. Anyways, after the season was over, many cast members skyrocketed into influencer stardom and had rallying fans behind them. We were all riding the high that was Season 6 into the next summer. This summer, oh, how time flies. Like I said, me and many people were very excited to watch this year's Love Island with how good we were fed last summer. But little did we know. Little did I know what a train wreck this season was truly about to be. I'm not going to break down every little thing that happened this season because literally how the hell, but I will discuss major topics and controversies that unfolded this season because it's truly endless. Before I dive deep, I just want to say I don't really condone the activity of digging into people's past in order to cancel them at the right time. However, I believe that people should be held accountable for their wrongful actions. And if there's one thing the internet is going to do, it's just that, hold people accountable. But More on that later. We started off this season with a bang when the cast announcement got posted on Instagram. Already people were being kind of judgy just because of the standard that they were holding this season to compared to last season. And with that, our first scandal of the season had occurred before the first episode even premiered. Yulissa was throwing around the N-word like it was nobody's business, and Austin was caught reposting pro-Trump videos. No. Bad. Tomatoes, gross. People are in outrage. Get Yulissa and Austin out of that villa immediately. For one person, this action would actually see through, but for the other, he somehow outlived literally every Islander throughout the season by some unknown force. Whatever. So Yulissa had been kicked out of the villa by episode 2, and a quick little Yulissa has now left the villa. Like the quickest PSA that I actually missed it the first time. Little did Love Island know that this little but impactful decision to kick Yulissa off the island would set the precedent of the rest of this godforsaken season, which by the way is still going. I feel like I've aged 10 years because boom! Our second scandal had hit the season. Much later in the season, actually, when 2 posts were resurfaced of Islander Sierra, where she said the C slur in a really weird, casual way. Like, there's this one where she says still redacted at the top as a verb, like just horsing around. Girl, I don't believe that you can use that word on multiple occasions and not know what it meant, but she suggests otherwise. Anyways, just like Yulissa, the fans began to call for action in removing Sierra from the villa. Keep in mind, we're at episode 25? I was genuinely convinced that there was no way they were going to get rid of Sierra, but I stood corrected when that episode had started, and just like Yulissa, they gave that measly PSA. Sierra has left the island due to personal reasons. Girl, we know why. I'm sure the producers were scrambling trying to figure out how to navigate the Sierra situation since it was so late in the season. But because they set that precedent, that principle with Yulissa, of course they had to do the same with Sierra, which I applaud for both. That was the right move. As we near the season's end, up and down, round and round, people continue to dig on any dirt of the remaining Islanders and attempt to get them canceled, I guess. No one is safe. Digital footprint is real, people. Since then, Sierra has put out an apology.
I am deeply, truly, honestly, so sorry. I had no idea that the word held as much pain, as much harm, and came with the history that it did, or I never would have used it.
And so has Yulissa, I guess, due to mounds and mounds of backlash.
I know I can't use the word. It's been through my fucking brain. I'm just saying you guys need to stop preaching the word so much. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it gives me the pass to say it. It's a slur, not a word. It's a slur and a fucking word. It's a fucking word.
So those were the main scandals of the season. Hey, don't say slurs that don't pertain to your own community, especially on the internet. Don't say it in private, don't say it in text, don't say it at all. So yes, those were the big 2 main scandals of the season. Yikes! Were the background checkers of Love Island asleep? Like, I don't get it. Oh, but don't you worry. It gets worse, actually. It gets so much worse. This was probably the most polarizing conversation about this season. The Huda versus Chelley debacle. I'm gonna try my very best to explain this whole thing in a way where if you haven't watched the show, you will understand. But honestly, I might get lost myself because it is layered. Huda and Chelley were OGs in the show. They coupled up with a guy. Huda was with Jeremiah and Chelley was with Austin, the trumpet. Huda and Jeremiah were...
No, you're a fucking bitch!
Come sit down.
You're a pussy ass bitch!
Huda. They were a force. Yeah, they were a force this season. They were pretty closed off to each other basically by day 3. People in the villa noticed how Huda was more possessive with Jeremiah, this backed by multiple clips of her calling basically every girl that walked into that villa a bitch, including Amaya, which is literally insane. She told Jeremiah on many instances that she was worried about him talking and kissing other girls. Mind you, that's literally what they're here to do, but whatever. Many of the girls were vigilant about how they interacted with Jeremiah, as was Jeremiah with the girls. Nobody wanted to feel Huda's wrath, and I can't blame them. For example, America had voted for Iris to couple up with Jeremiah during one of the recouplings. This sent Huda into a 2-day spiral in which she was cursing out Jeremiah from across the villa, cornering Iris in soul ties, and crying over the most menial actions like Jeremiah pulling out a chair for Iris. Personally for me, I'm no doctor, but watching those first couple episodes was genuinely uncomfortable. I was more worried about how this experience was negatively affecting Huda's mental health because what she had displayed was not normal behavior to me. It was actually disturbing. And I can understand how an experience like this can bring out a side of someone that no one should have to see. It was also pretty obvious that she was making other people feel uncomfortable within the villa. For example, when she went to go talk to Iris, Jalen and Pepe said that they didn't want to leave Iris alone in case something happened. These two 6-foot whatever built men were afraid that Huda was gonna do something to Iris. So basically in the first half of the season, we were all witnesses to Hurricane Huda. I hated it personally and it was really hard to watch, but she stayed in the villa despite this. Now regarding Miss Chelley, she was coupled up with Austin in the very beginning, but somewhere along the lines of Amaya and you kept on saying, she ended up in a love triangle with Austin and Ace. She was juggling between the two, but we all knew who she really wanted, and that was Ace. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Episode 19. The girls go to Casa Amor. If you don't know, this is the climax of the season every time. Basically, Casa Amor is a relationship test in which all of the girls and the guys are put into separate villas where they are surrounded by bad things everywhere, and they have to test their original connection and not be led into temptation. The reason why Casa is so good is because every year multiple people fail at this experiment, and fail not in the way where someone just finds a better connection, which that's a net positive really, but fail in the way where they will do the most heinous, disrespectful shit I ain't ever done seen in my life, and then come back to the original partner and pretend like nothing happened and that they passed the test. When it's like, no, you really didn't actually pass the test at all. Anyways, this year's Casa was floptastic. They literally couldn't have gone any more wrong with the format, but in conclusion, Chelley ended up forming a connection with Chris, who, by the way, was in a Button video with Quenlin Blackwell. I just thought that was so random because I didn't even realize when I was watching it on my screen. So Chelley forms a connection with Chris, but is leaning more into her connection with Ace. So Huda decides to bring in Chris for Chelley, but Huda is also kind of interested in Chris, and I think they had a conversation in Casa, so it's like a love pentagon now. Over the days, Chris and Huda get closer, and she realizes she wants to pursue things with him. So Huda and Chris are coupled up, and Chelley and Ace are coupled up. In episode 24, the heart rate challenge, some things go down. You know, this, that. Is it hot in here? Chelley does the thing and Huda bounces on him, and basically things went a little too far in the challenge. After it's over, Chelley expresses how uncomfortable she felt watching Huda and Ace go at it at a degree that felt disrespectful to her relationship. She voices this with the girls and they hear out her frustrations. This unfortunately bleeds into the next couple of days where their beef is exacerbated. Episode 26, the plague on my life, the ongoing affliction, the thorn in my side. Possibly the most polarizing episode of the season, and if only I knew how much I would hear the words mean girl, girls girl, bullying, and crash out for the next couple of days. Maybe I could have prepared myself, but I don't think that's possible. For some horrific, borderline evil reason, the producers decide to make the Islanders do a challenge where they write anonymous notes about how they really feel about each other. Obviously, this goes sour because everybody in that villa kind of gives off the impression that they hate each other. Basically, everyone caught a stray that night, but the main focus was on Chelley and Huda. Many postcards were sent back and forth. Huda, you're not the girl's girl you preach to be. You're not extending the same amount of respect that you expect. And so on and so forth. Huda's defense of this was saying, every time I overreacted, you guys always told me it's a challenge, it's just a challenge. But now I'm being punished for participating in a challenge. I can see where Huda is coming from, but that tells me that her morals are jumbled. Because anyone is allowed to change their mind and be better and not live by the rules that they used to. However, to not even address how reactive she was with Jeremiah and the bombshells in the first couple of weeks, and now going too far with Ace, comes off extremely hypocritical. It's about the principle that she set from the beginning. I think Chelley was just mirroring Huda, if anything. The same energy of protectiveness that Chelley had over her relationship with Ace that Huda was met with during the male challenge is the same energy Huda was putting out to all the girls who tried to talk to Jeremiah when she was with him. So no, Chelley was not being a mean girl, she was setting boundaries. All in all, this was genuinely one of the worst episodes in Love Island history. It was a horrible, horrible idea. The Islanders were so visibly miserable, and the flood of hate that came after this episode was astonishing. It was an opportunity to invite online hate and tension between the Islanders. Literally, nobody asked for this. From the very beginning, I was team Chellandria, and then everyone switched up. And I was like, what? What? Did we not watch the same episodes? Why is everyone calling them mean girls? They've been the most quiet and nice this whole time. But then I realized something. Do I have to say the quiet part out loud? But then it became all the more evident when that hate train arrived. I was fighting for my life defending Chelley and Chellandria, and I think anyone who was defending Chelley and Chellandria after episode 26 is actually entitled to financial compensation, because that was a losing war. The world was convinced that Chelley, Chellandria, and Sierra, but mainly Chelley and Chellandria were mean girls, to a point where I felt like I was being genuinely gaslit by everyone. So of course I referred to maybe not the most credible source, but our only living proof, which is obviously the episodes themselves. I didn't fully rewatch every single episode up until 26 because I trusted my own judgment, and to relive the past 25 episodes other than episode 21 is probably classified as torture. My final assessment about the Chelley and Chellandria versus Huda situation was this. Hypothetically, if I were in Love Island, and I was living with someone who made my head spin, Huda, but I have to live with her, so I tolerate her behavior up until my breaking point. I genuinely believe that this was pent-up frustration and resentment towards Huda, and that was their last straw. Now, as for Chelley's claim, how I interpreted it is that by Huda going too far with Ace in the heart rate challenge, she disrespected the code that she had created between all the girls from the very beginning. Maybe she didn't say it outright, no one can talk to Jeremiah, but through her actions like getting upset when he would kiss other girls in challenges, calling anyone who even just talked to Jeremiah a bitch, pestering Jeremiah about whether or not he's gonna leave her and if she can have his location. All those things. She set a precedent, much like Love Island did with Yulissa, about stepping on toes in relationships and possessiveness over your couples. Also, she broke the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. And so my head was spinning for days. Is that it? Is that all Chelley was saying and now everyone's mad at her? And the answer is yeah. That's literally all she said. She expressed frustration with Huda not following the principle that she set up from the very beginning with the false sisterhood narrative. That's at least what I took from the whole situation. Everyone else, not so much. Chelley and Chellandria's narrative, in some weird twisted way, got spun into a girls ganging up on one person situation. Here's my gripe. I tense up when people cry around me, and I'm not one to play into the whole, maybe I deserved it. If that's horrible and mean, put me in the same boat as Chelley and Chellandria. These girls are tired of the victim act and the selective memory that Huda has had throughout the entire season. Let me list a couple examples. Number 1, self-victimization. After the male challenge, the girls all sit down at the couch to debrief everything that was said during it. While all the girls are sitting next to each other, all huddling up, all the way at the end of the couch, Huda is sitting and sulking. When I first watched this scene, I actually sighed because this is theatrical. The last time I did this is when I didn't get what I wanted, and I was really upset. And I was 6 years old. Another example, Chellandria's eating in peace. Here comes Huda. Am I a terrible person? If you don't get out my face in 3, 2, 1, like... These are direct quotes about things that she has said about other girls in the villa. Iris moves so weird to me. She hides everything from the get-go. She's over here like, I'm a girl's girl. Bitch, no the fuck you're not. Mind you, this is literally Iris the entire season. Like, please chill on my girl. Huda on Amaya. I can already tell that the bitch doesn't fucking compare to me. Do I know her? No. I think she's messy as fuck. I don't like her. I already don't like her. Every time she was referring to the girls in conversations with other people, she would say, this bitch, or the bitch. So this left me very confused. How in the world, where Chelley and Chellandria have been nothing but sweet and kept to themselves, the mean girl, while Huda's been calling every girl and Jeremiah all types of bitches this whole season? I can maybe understand a couple of people misinterpreting Chelley's argument, and maybe if you're paying zero attention to the show, it looks like Huda's being ganged up on. If you thought Huda was being bullied by the girls this entire season, I mean this with love, I think you might be easily manipulated, and I'll break it down. Again, throughout this season, Huda has had a protectiveness regarding her relationship with Jeremiah. They were never closed off, and Huda never told the other girls to stay away from him directly, but her actions showed otherwise. She would get mad at Jeremiah for talking to other girls, or she would call the girls interested in Jeremiah a bitch. And at the end of the day, the girls could explore with Jeremiah, yeah, theoretically, but is feeling the wrath of Hurricane Huda worth the price of being Jeremiah? That's up to the beholder. When Jeremiah left the villa, Huda was doing her rounds testing out connections with the remaining guys in the villa. Of course, we came here for love after all. However, when exploring with someone like Pepe, she didn't even tell Hannah, the girls that Pepe's coupled up with, that she wanted to explore with Pepe. Something that would never ever slide if the shoe was on the other foot. Now, resuming back to the heart rate challenge and Huda damn near sitting on Ace's face, it's interesting how the rules don't apply when it's Huda. Her own rules as well. Do I think Chelley is upset that Huda went too far with Ace in general? Yes, but not entirely. Everyone was doing the absolute most during this challenge, including Chelley. I think her frustration lies with Huda bending her own rules about navigating relationships and dynamics in the villa, only when it's convenient to her. Is it not fair that Huda can't dance on Ace during a challenge? Yeah, that's unfair. It's Love Island. But that's exactly why you don't go around the villa for 2 weeks and apply emotional pressure to Jeremiah and the girls who are interested in getting to know Jeremiah just because you're with him. That's why you don't get mad at the other girls for kissing Jeremiah in kissing challenges. It's about the principle. It's not about what you did, it's about how you did it. And I agree with Chelley. I agree with Chelley. I'm sorry. I agree with Chelley. It's hard to give an accurate opinion to all of this just because of how heavily edited this show is. I don't know if Huda has apologized for everything with Jeremiah prior to this or if she made it clear that she doesn't have those same views as she did in the beginning. But based on Chelley's reaction, it's safe to say that none of that happened, or else why would you be mad in the first place? As for Chellandria, I can tell everyone was waiting for Chellandria to slip up in one way because she had one moment with Huda and it was raps. During the challenge, Chellandria told everyone about the secret kiss that Huda and Chris shared in the speakeasy room. It was sudden and it took Huda by surprise, to which Huda complained to Chellandria about not blurting out each other's business. In another far distant life, maybe I could have been upset with Chellandria. Probably not, because she's my favorite girl this season, not to be biased. But let's just say I thought that what she said was outrageous. Unfortunately for Huda's case, she literally did the same thing but 10 times worse. During a recoupling in which Jeremiah chose Iris over Huda, Huda decided that during that recoupling speech, she would throw Iris completely under the bus. Quote, this is Huda talking about Jeremiah talking about Iris to her. He told me that she is not his type, he's not attracted to her, and that he doesn't want to sleep in the bed with her. Then she calls Iris a safe option and a scapegoat, all the things. Mind you, this is happening right in front of Iris. She's very much on the receiving end of all of this, even though Huda was mainly addressing Jeremiah. If I was Iris, I would have jumped into that Fiji water and swam right home because ain't no way you're gonna humiliate me like this. And I just got here. So yes, Chellandria was in the wrong for spilling about Huda's kiss with Chris in the speakeasy, but Huda has done worse. And the shit that she thought was cool to do last week, all of a sudden isn't so cool when it's being done to her. Like, what? And I genuinely believe that the audience this year either has selective memory or they're just not watching the show because people are fully acting like this didn't happen and that Huda wasn't trying to completely embarrass Iris or make her feel some type of way. Anyways, Chellandria ended up apologizing and they made up and everything was fine. Huda even had a chat with Chelley and they cleared the air, so you would think everyone, like Huda, would move on. Well, no. The hate train continues to chug and it continues to chew. To be abundantly clear, Chelley and Chellandria have been my favorite girls since day one alongside Amaya. Every day the internet was piling on them more, the more I felt like I was getting rage baited. I will not let y'all do this to them. I won't. I don't care. Whenever I see women of color experiencing some type of smear campaign, my ears perk up. I have to say something. Especially since they've been so kind and more patient than I would have been this entire season. And they were just fed up. Personally, my only qualm with how Chelley and Chellandria and the other girls dealt with Huda is that they saved her numerous times when she was single and vulnerable. I would have kicked her out 3 million weeks ago. Hello? But they didn't. This isn't even to discredit Huda. If she felt bullied, I mean, that's you. But then you're hanging out and confiding in these people. You're saying you love them. Like, be so serious. As I've mentioned, Chelley and Chellandria were my favorite girls this season, and I have seen some preposterous behavior online that I will not let up on. So please, join me at the stand. Order in the court, order in the motherfucking court. All rise. This session of Court of Cancellation is now in session. I have gained absolutely nothing from this season except for Nicolandria, and my energy has been completely drained. I'm too deep into this season to the point where I know everything that everyone is saying about everyone. I hate to admit it, but this is beyond obsession. This is cross-examination ready intel. This is psychological warfare on both ends, as an Islander and as an audience member. Frankly, I missed who I was before I watched this season. Free, happy, innocent. There's a stark difference between being anti-Chelley and Chellandria and being anti-Chelley and Chellandria while also being Team Huda. I know what you are. Perjury won't save you here. In the Court of Cancellation, we strive to bring justice and hold those accountable for their egregious behavior, malice, slander, character assassination. We see it all. And we understand that the hate train, although fueled by Huda's actions, is not entirely her fault, but instead controlled by this evil audience we've had this year. You guys are a mean bunch. As lead counsel, I have a few clients: Rachel Zegler, Cynthia Erivo, Barry Coegan, and now Chelley, and Chellandria. Ladies, get behind me. This docket is packed. The stakes are through the roof. Do you know who I am? Things are about to get serious. First on the stand, BuzzFeed. In the midst of one of the most disturbing hate trains I've seen in my life, on July 9th, you decided to, for whatever reason, wedged between chaos and idiocy, to post this Instagram post where you give every islander a breakfast meal and you decided to give Chelley a knuckle sandwich. What? Okay, I don't know who you were feeling like posting that, but in what context in 2025 would it be appropriate to incite violence against a Black woman to your 45 million of followers? Who did this? Literally, who did this? In all seriousness, my heart literally dropped when I saw this post. This is genuinely disturbing to me. And to whoever posted that Instagram post, your mom's a hoe. You can say this, that, and the third if you wanted to, but no one could ever convince me that this wasn't racially motivated in some type of way. Mind you, Chelley has done nothing wrong, and even if she did, she expressed herself without raising her voice, without calling anybody out of their name, nothing of the sort. And even if she did, this is still insane to post about her. But BuzzFeed was just buzzing at the chance to get in on this hate train when it truly does not concern anything about what's going on their page. Even though in this court, I would have never given you the chance at parole, you seized the opportunity regardless. This was BuzzFeed's lazy attempt at an apology. We published a version of this post earlier today that was meant to ruffle some feathers. All in good fun about a TV show we collectively can't get enough of. But one of our jokes missed the mark. We referenced a knuckle sandwich in our slide about Chelley. And although it was meant to be cheeky, it landed with racial undertones that we didn't intend, but should have seen coming. Tasty is meant to be a joyful, welcoming space, and this post didn't reflect that. As massive Love Island fans, we took it down, talked it through, and reworked it to make sure that the jokes didn't come at anyone's expense. Thank you for helping us do better. Handheld heart emoji. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Nothing more cheeky than threatening to punch a woman. Very, very cheeky, BuzzFeed. And should have seen the racial undertones coming. All right, then without the undertones, is it funny to make a joke about punching a woman you don't know who's done nothing wrong to you? Say it with me. No, that's not funny, not in the slightest. Have I joked about throwing a cowboy hat wearing Abby Clark saying boy islander into the Fiji water? Yes, I have, numerous times actually, but I didn't go and joke about it to my 45 million of followers. And even if I did, I'm not a company. I'm just a girl. By the Court of Cancellation, we have decided you are canceled and boring and evil as well. Goodbye. Next to the stand, we have... Who is this? Literally, who is this? Oh. Overnight Oats. An oatmeal brand, this keeps getting weirder and weirder. In a comment section of a TikTok you made poking fun at islanders you would send packs of oatmeal to, someone commented about how you should send one to Chelley, and you guys replied, oh, no, we wouldn't do that to Huda. Okay, maybe this seems harmless, but it is clear that you're showing your bias towards Huda as an oatmeal for some reason. This response of, we would never do that to Huda, implies a bias towards Huda at Chelley's expense. I guess parole was granted once again because this was the response that the team made. We recently made a series of videos pretending to send boxes to Love Island contestants, including Huda. In this video, one of our team members recently replied to a comment suggesting that we send a PR box to Chelley. Our response, we wouldn't do that to Huda, was a playoff of multiple requests for boxes on all of these videos from our customers. Without context, it came across wrong and we're sorry. The team member who responded wasn't watching Love Island and didn't mean any harm, but we see how the comment could be misinterpreted. To be completely clear, this had absolutely nothing to do with race, but we also know how our words may get received matters more than the intent. And we're sorry and blah, 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 blah. First of all, whoever fitted that apology to the TikTok, please consider zooming out just a bit more because I had trouble reading that, but I digress. The sentence that stuck out to me the most was the team member who responded wasn't watching Love Island. Okay, sure, you weren't watching Love Island, but if someone comments, hey, give Chelley some oatmeal too, and you knew to respond with, I couldn't do that to Huda, this tells me two things. Either you're watching just enough Love Island to know who's beefing with who and you just lied, or you're dumb as rocks and you chose to pander to the side of the debate that would boost your social capital on TikTok for a good 12 seconds without fully knowing what happened. Either way, the Court of Cancellation finds you guilty of being mean and therefore you're canceled. Also, I've never bought from Overnight Oats and now I never will. Good day. You see, people, there is a problem and there's a difference between being a TikTok user and saying something slick about Chelley and being a literal brand with millions of customers and saying something mean about Chelley. In what world did we ever care to know what BuzzFeed Tasty and Overnight Oats take was on the Chelley versus Huda situation? Not in this one, that's for sure. Do better. This is exhausting. What? No. There's another one. When I was a little tween, I loved watching lifestyle girls like Yulissa Curse, Miss Remy Ashton, Laura DIY, and I'm not ashamed to say that I still do. I love those girls. But if you would have told me that the yellow-wearing, girls supporting girls tagline saying puppy-loving YouTuber Adelaine Morin is making DV jokes about black women in 2025, I would have cried, probably. That's very triggering. Someone that I looked up to and thankfully didn't have enough money to support the merch, but if I did, I would have jumped at the chance. Adelaine Morin, you are now on trial at the Court of Cancellation. Adelaine Morin, on July 9th, 2025, you posted an Instagram story on your private Instagram. How sneaky of you. Again, joking, and I say that with quotations, about punching Chelley and Chellandria. Horrific, sick, and twisted behaviors that I once again cannot comprehend why anyone would think that's funny to say. To me, it's just really awful to joke about beating up two girls that you don't know, who have, in my opinion, done nothing wrong. And I guess I question what would warrant this type of reaction, because if standing up for yourself after weeks of pent-up resentment is deserving of a knuckle sandwich or multiple punches, I think you may be entitled to inner healing. Other than the obvious reason why this is wrong, as someone who grew up watching Adelaine Morin, I tried my best to internalize the message she spread about being a girl supporting other girls. And it's just beyond me how someone who spent 10 years preaching about exactly that is now making jokes about physical violence towards other women. Women of color at that. Like, girl, no, this is just very, very low vibrational. Okay, Mercury wasn't even in retrograde at the time. This is weird behavior. Anyways, much like the rest, Adelaine posted probably the worst apology of them all. Chellandria and Chelley grew over me in the past couple episodes. When I was punching the punching bag saying their names, it was a joke, because right after the male episodes when they ganged up on Huda, I definitely didn't mean to incite any kind of violence or negativity. Everyone on the show is putting their lives out there, and they absolutely deserve respect even when we're reacting as fans. I'm a huge fan of the show, and it gets a little... Sorry, I can't fucking read. I get a little too into the drama. That's on me. I'm sorry to anyone I offended. And as my papaya says, I never said I was perfect. I never said I didn't have any flaws. How can you say that your intention wasn't to incite violence when there's literally a punching? You're punching you just said and to try and end it lightheartedly by quoting Amaya's little song. Oh, so you really don't gaff. Okay, cool. The unofficial Court of Cancellation finds you guilty of being cruel, inciting violence against two women you don't know, to your millions of followers, being a liar for preaching about girls supporting girls for 10 years, and being fucking stupid for thinking that the girls are ganging up on Huda. You may leave now, Miss Morin. I can't believe I watched that girl for years. You people make me sick. As a judge with what I'd like to think is a stable moral compass, I would never let that slide if they said that about Huda or any of the other girls on this show. But it was interesting how all three of these brands and influencers felt comfortable enough to say it only about Chelley and Chellandria. That's misogynoir. Chelley and Chellandria deserve grace too. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes too, so maybe that doesn't make me the perfect judge. Sure, but the conversation around Chelley and Chellandria this summer was very bizarre and so tiring. Please, Adelaine Morin, Overnight Oats, BuzzFeed, be normal about discourse regarding a show with real people when you go online. Don't be violent and aggressive. It's extremely odd and unsettling for every party. The way people switched up on my girls literally had me sick. They didn't deserve that. Huda doesn't deserve that either. No one deserves that. This is weird. This is fucking weird. The conversation around this season was really, really weird. This season stressed me out to a degree that is actually concerning. The way people talked about Chelley and Chellandria were just so horrible to them. Even the way people talked about Huda, maybe even the way I talked about Huda. Shit, this was just not normal. And I really hated it. And anyways, on a much lighter note, even though nothing could have convinced me at the time, there was light at the end of the tunnel. True love prevails and heals all. Oh, Nicolandria, how I love you, even amongst the chaos.
Yes. What is your hottest take? Okay, if I'm going to be honest, can we go Love Island right now? Oh, my God. If you like Huda, you're going to piss me off. Fuck Huda! Nicolandria!
After all, we came here for love, and Nicolandria is a product of that. The amount of times I was fully ready to give up on this season and never turn back, like episode 22, stocks crashed real bad. Nicolandria saved the season for me, and I will die on that hill. There are a plethora of reasons why I love Nicolandria so much. For one, Chellandria. I love Chellandria so much. For starters, she's absolutely beautiful. Her aura is insane. She just has this vibe that she has it together and she knows what she wants. And although maybe that's not relatable, I get her on a relatability level. You could definitely tell in the beginning of the season she puts on a brave face. She doesn't let her feelings show. But when she was with Nick, her walls completely came down. And I love that for her. I love that she can do that with him. Number two, seeing how she's getting that princess treatment on the show. I fear you don't really expect that to see that in general, but especially with a guy on Love Island, the bar is usually in hell, so it was nice to see her get that. In episode 22, when she merely uttered the words, "It's so cold," this man literally took the shirt off his back and gave it to her. And y'all are telling me that true love does— this is true love. That was a declaration of love like no other. Like, truly. Nicolandria literally made me re-download TikTok after 2 years of not having it, just so I could watch their edits. So, yeah, I'm in the sunken place. And number 3, this is exactly why I watch Love Island in the first place. Yes, we live for the drama and the mess, but there's truly nothing more entertaining and fulfilling than a beautiful love story. That's why Serena and Cordell are for the books, because of how full circle it was. Nicolandria was a journey, and I don't think I'll be as happy on my wedding day as I was watching episode 21. I didn't get no sleep. If you don't believe in Nicolandria, you are not a dreamer. You can say that it's fictional and scripted, and it's not, but even if it was, you're not eating this up. Like, this isn't doing it for you. Are you perhaps a misanthrope? Their story is beautiful, and their dynamic is top tier. Nick being very forward and obvious about his feelings towards Chellandria, and Chellandria being completely clueless to it all season. Yes, give me 15 more. The pure whiplash that we went through this season with Nicolandria warrants maybe a trip to the shrink, but I wouldn't change anything of it. I think it's no coincidence that the best episodes this season, episode 21 and Baby Challenge, were heavily focused on Nicolandria. You don't understand. I've cried over this. It's that serious. And dare I say, this is true love. And this is exactly what I want to watch when I put on Love Island anyways. The experience of watching Nicolandria unfold in front of my eyes all summer is the exact feeling of reading a really good book. Like, one that you can't put down because you're loving it so bad. Every twist and turn, and every time I thought Nicolandria was over and there was no return, I kept searching for pieces because ultimately I wanted it to work out because I love them. I love them. You don't get it. You don't get it. I'll be rooting for them the entire way through because love is in the air after all. And I know everyone has a problem with Nicolandria being fake or Nick and Chellandria having betrayed Sierra. And every time this conversation starts, I feel like I can separate those who have actually watched the show for a long time from those who have watched season 7 as their first season ever. Not that I should have to break it down, but Love Island is a dating show. So yes, if you end up dating multiple people during your stay, you're not in the wrong. The Sierra of it all is more convoluted because she was removed from the villa. It wasn't a dumping or a self-eviction. She was removed for saying something racist outside of it. Once Sierra left the villa and Nick didn't follow her, that was confirmation that he still wanted to finish his experience and find someone. And seeing that that's the whole point of the show, is to find someone, that's in his own right. What Sierra went through really sucks, and I think that she faced extensive backlash that would be a lot for anyone to carry, but trying to shift blame for something that she did onto Nick and Chellandria is crazy. Much like Sierra, they had no control in her departure from the villa, and they have no reason to hold themselves back from finding a connection just because Sierra left the villa. The world isn't gonna stop for her. I'm gonna need everybody to refer to the timeline. If you were actually watching the show, you would know that Nick always had interest in Chellandria. He said that in like the first episode. Chellandria kissed Nick on the first day, implying some type of interest. Nick never told Chellandria to her face that he wanted to get to know her, and by episode 2, he was in a whole love triangle. So naturally, Chellandria removed herself from the picture, assuming Nick had no interest, and anyway, she wanted to get to know 3 dreads. That's why when he was like, "You're the most beautiful, gorgeous-tastic woman I've ever seen in my lifetime," she was like, "Where is this coming from?" Because this man has been secretly yearning the whole time. When they explored their connection in episode 21, they were finally given a window to see where things could go. Casa was what, like 2 days long, so that meant that Nick and Chellandria had 1 day to figure out if that's what they wanted. Do you think that's enough to overrule the connections that they've had for the past 3 weeks? Fuck no. I did though. So they said that there was no spark, and they relay that to their connections under the assumption that they're going to continue on with them until the end. Little does Chellandria know Taylor is a whole fraud, and Nick doesn't know that Sierra has that slur coming for her. No one in the villa could have predicted that Sierra was going to be removed. Like, why would that cross their mind? So Nick, thinking that he's just gonna ride this out with her till the end because that's been his connection this whole time, obviously he's gonna close that door at Chellandria. And anyways, Chellandria was the one who rejected him, so what is he supposed to do? Keep pining? Anyways, a couple of miserable episodes later, and we're back to Nick and Chellandria's recoupling because they were never given a fair shot to explore with each other. Now is their chance. And then they proceed to make the best episodes of the season. They also realized that there was more there, and that makes sense considering they wanted each other from the very beginning. Hello? Are we watching the same show? Refer to the timeline, refer to the timeline, refer to the timeline. Anyways, I have a lot of faith in Nick and Chellandria's relationship, but I also have such a deep admiration for Chellandria. When we see this girl on the cover of Vogue, don't be shocked. While I'm writing this, the season is still going. We're only a few days away from the finale. Regardless of Nicolandria single-handedly saving this season for me, I can't help but admit that this season was the most mentally draining thing I've ever watched in my life. And I think a huge part of why the season felt so dark is because of the discourse online. It's not unusual to have favorite girls and guys, but when has it ever been normal to send hate to someone just because you disagree with them? I may be on Team Chellandria, but I don't hate Huda at all. I think she wasn't cut out for this experience, and I think that came at the expense of everyone who was around her. This seemed to have brought out a very bad side to her, which is understandable. I wouldn't last a day on Love Island. Her behavior was very concerning to me, and I think production should have sent her home after Jeremiah recoupled up with Iris. And I've said that from the very beginning. I think every girl in this season should be given some form of grace. Discourse must be had, duh, but not to the point where it becomes violent and intrusive. What Chelley and Chellandria went through this season with the audience was clear misogynoir, and I'll break it down for you. Coming into this season, not that I could definitely and clearly back this up with evidence, but it is clear that the audience had crowned Huda their star of the show, with Chelley and Chellandria right behind her. How do I know this? Well, it was always Chelley and Chellandria need to give it to Huda straight about her relationship with Jeremiah. Chelley and Chellandria need to stand up for Amaya when she's being ganged up on. Chellandria needs to play therapist to everyone in that villa whenever they had something they needed help with. Chelley and Chellandria are not supposed to be the saviors of the villa. When Huda is stomping around and making everyone feel uncomfortable, it's not Chelley and Chellandria's job to mediate. So I'm glad that Huda grew from this experience and somewhat learned how to communicate healthily, but in that process, she ruined everyone else's experience, seeing that helping someone regulate their emotions and free themselves from toxic situations is not what they came here to do. The moment Chelley and Chellandria voiced that, the crowd took that as their true colors and ran with it. Huda is not perfect, Chelley is not perfect, Chellandria is not perfect, but to spread a narrative of Chelley and Chellandria ganging up on Huda, knowing that they've all had each other's backs the entire season, proves once again that Black women, especially in reality TV, are set to a completely different standard. At this point, the only thing that Chelley and Chellandria could have done was say nothing at all, because knowing it was at the expense of Huda, it was gonna get spun on them somehow. I think that the mailbox episode was all around horrible and it was a setup for everyone, but it was also a blip. It was the first time the entire season we had seen Chelley and Chellandria express frustration or crash out. No shade, but Huda's been crashing out all season. Literally all season. And her fan base continued to give her grace, even at times where I thought it was outrageous to do so. The one time Chelley and Chellandria went off and got mad, there was no grace given even after they had apologized. Chelley and Chellandria were not criticized based on their actions because I've yet to hear truly what they've done wrong. It was about policing their behavior and emotions and being quick to label them as angry or as the bullies that the crowd always thought they could be. When I criticize Huda, it's purely based on what she has done, calling Jeremiah out of his name, calling the girls out of their name, creating an uncomfortable living experience for others. I don't think Huda is a bad person. This show is heavily edited and she does have good moments. I think she has many toxic tendencies and I think that she should have been removed from the villa, the episode where she had gone off on Jeremiah. That's it. That's all. Where I went wrong is that I thought everyone could see that too, but that was not the case. Even the way the producers couldn't be bothered to put up a PSA for Chelley and Chellandria like they had done for Huda or for Vanna, once again creating a safe space for vitriolic behavior from the audience and allowing for shit like this to happen. Again, this is a very revealing time in history and the true colors that are being shown are poignant to say the least. I genuinely hope every Islander on this show can heal from this and the online hate. I think maybe I'm too sensitive for this because I've become increasingly more protective of Love Islanders. Yeah, this show is rotting my brain. Yikes. Okay, so I recorded all of that a couple of days before the finale aired, and I have notes. Number 1. Nicolandria. Again, you are never beating the I saved the entire season allegations. Oh my god. I am a true morning boat final date hater. I always thought those were incredibly low effort, but it didn't even matter. Their date was so fucking cute. Absolute tears. So special. When Nick said he wanted to keep watering that love plant with her on the outside and see where it goes, this is just so beautiful. I love them so much. Their speeches to each other, tears. Them dancing at the finale, tears. Them kissing in the pool after Chellandria almost drowned, tears. We will never get another Nicolandria in a finale like this. Dare I say, one of the best episodes this season, disregarding many other moments that I'll go on about. But before that, Brian and Amaya. I have been team Amaya since day one. I remember how everyone switched up on her when she voted out Charlie, but I knew my girl was cooking. Her story this season was kind of heartbreaking. To watch her constantly get put down for the way that she is and be described as too much by guys who claim that they were okay with it at first made me so upset for her. But her journey ended better than ever when she took that title with Brian. I was rooting for Nicolandria to win, of course, but I'm just as happy that Amaya and Brian won. I think they are sincere and they really do like each other. And I love Amaya down. Like, she was a true highlight of this season. At the end of the day, I only would have been truly upset if Chris and Huda won, which brings me to my next point. Huda and Chris, ay caramba. Huda and Chris were a train wreck this episode. Their date was insane. I'm not gonna carry you. Yo, what am I watching? The fact that the fans let them get as far as to reach the final four and then place third when they're not even a couple blows me, but live, laugh, love, I guess. I could have bet my life on the fact that Huda and Chris were not going to make it to that finale. They just come off as extremely incompatible. Again, Huda displayed toxic behavior throughout the relationship, like interrupting him, taking things too personally. And that scene of them in the bed, 3, 2, 1 gate. Ooh, this feels illegal. Chris was very patient in the beginning and eventually he couldn't take it anymore. I can't blame him. Anyways, it's for the best. Huda shouldn't be in a relationship right now and she should focus on herself. I don't have a direct problem with Huda. Number one, I don't know her. And number two, this show isn't a perfect representation of who she is. I have more of a problem with people who support her. To me, anyone that supports her is enabling her. How can you have watched the way she acted this entire season, especially the first half with Jeremiah, and think that that's acceptable behavior? The way she called Jeremiah out of his name, said that everything that happened was his fault, eavesdropped on his private conversations to then use it against him. That was not okay. Huda was not fit for this show, and I'm pissed that the producers didn't remove her for the sake of entertainment, which, by the way, was not entertaining at all. I hope if anything positive comes out of this for Huda is that she realizes that she does have toxic traits that she needs to fix, and I wish her the best. In conclusion, I walked in a Chelley and a Chellandria lover, and I walked out one. Nicolandria saved the entire season, and the baby challenge was the best episode alongside episode 21. And Amaya is a poet. Honestly, cancel the show. Like, seriously.